Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Offside Podcast, episode 3 over here. We've got Emil back, so we've got a bit more controversy this week, hopefully. I'll be moderating this week, but yeah, thanks for watching, listening, wherever you are. We'll jump right into the action as there's a lot to cover from this weekend. So, boys, first of all, we'll start off with the elephant in the room, Liverpool. Second loss in a row, Nottingham Forest, and then things just keep getting worse every week for them. Maybe I'll start with Daniel with this one. What do you think is going wrong there?
I was thinking about this during the weekend as well. Not often you see teams going for quadruple one season, getting so close to then absolutely collapsing the next season. But I remember Klopp's last season in Dortmund, where I think the season before that they either won the league or came in second, and then the next season they were down in 28th in like November, and Klopp had to leave because it was that bad. I'm not sure. I think there's a lot of things there. There's an aging squad, lack of investment, and perhaps this fatigue, I guess, emotionally when you're always up there for whatever the last 4 years, you're second best team in the country, arguably in the world, and you're still achieving nothing because they're that much better. I think emotionally, maybe you just feel, what else can I do? What else should I do? There's nothing I can do, I guess. That's what my feeling about it is.
Yeah. What about you, Paul? What's your take on this Liverpool situation?
From a logical point of view, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. As Daniel mentioned, there is a aging squad, and maybe there is that to play. But what I did see was quite interesting how it's called a 7-season syndrome for Klopp. And it's happened everywhere he's been. He started at Mainz and he brought them up, I think, pretty much through the ranks, third division, second division, brought them to Bundesliga. And then in the 7th season, almost got them, I believe they got relegated, if not almost relegated. Then he gets a big move to Dortmund, and it's the same happens again, 7th season. And everything, as Daniel just mentioned, goes wrong. And now it's his 7th season in Liverpool. I don't know why that's the case, but we can see that trend. I really don't know why. It must be something going on behind closed doors, but I don't know.
Yeah, fair point. 7th season, and I'll take this to Emil for the next question. 7th season, aging squad, but Jurgen Klopp, do you reckon his time is up?
I do, yes, yeah. I mean, maybe it is psychological issue as well, because as you said, 7th season, I'm sure he's heard it, no? It's not like it hasn't been talked about. So maybe it psychologically is draining him as well, you know? I don't know. But yeah, as they said, I don't understand what's wrong. I mean, the squad, there's not really much different. I mean, it's even improved, I would say, in a way. It's not like they sold someone big, except Mane. I mean, Mane is the only one that left from that squad. But apart from that, it's as solid as it was, 4 years ago? There's not really a big difference, apart from incomings, I would say.
Yeah. No, fair point. I think you're absolutely right with that. Arad, I'll open the floor to you as well with this one, because it's quite a significant part of the Premier League season. But Mane leaving, Darwin Núñez coming in, as Daniel mentioned, quadruple in the grasp of their fingertips, and now it looks like their whole season's falling apart. They're actually closer to relegation than first place. What's going on?
Top 4. Yeah. Closer to the relegation than the top 4. Everyone's hit the nail on the head. I think everyone's covered their points well. We just lost Emil. Our opinions are too bad for Emil.
I'm back.
No, like everyone said it, and I think there is an element of not knowing what's going on, but I also think losing Mane and bringing in Darwin Núñez is a big downgrade. I don't think Núñez will be a flop. I think he's not been great. I don't think he'll end up being a flop, but the way that Núñez wants to play football is very different than what Klopp had Mane doing with Salah and Firmino for a long, long time. I think they've been very unlucky with injuries as well, with big players being injured. Jota, I think a lot of their midfielders have been out injured. But like everyone said, it seems that the emotional toll, 7 seasons of high-pressing football, sort of rock and roll, takes a toll on you, and they're not the same team. They don't have the same energy. They don't have the same connection between each other, and the chemistry seems to be off. It's almost as though they stop believing in themselves, that they are the team that they used to be, and that when that happens, I think it's very difficult to get back from.
Of course. Yeah. I mean, you can see it. You can see it even when Liverpool is playing now. It's so different from they used to play last year. The high press, it's not there anymore. It's non-existent. They let the teams get in their half. That would never happen before. You wouldn't even pass their midfield last season. They'd be so aggressive. Now it's just it's not there.
I think we can all agree that it's not a blip.
Yeah, they've also got a knack for conceding first. And it stretches back to a few games last season, but definitely into this season. When they concede first, they seem to never recover mentally. And that's not something you would characterize with this Liverpool team. I remember watching them a couple of years ago, and obviously as a United fan, wanting them to drop points and sort of wasting my time sat there watching them go 1-0 back, which didn't happen often. But then you just knew they were going to come back, and they did. So 9 times out of 10, they'd win that game. And now that's not the same team. At best, they get a draw, a scrappy draw, not a dominant draw. And that's something that Klopp needs to fix. Defensively, they've been very strong lately, but when they go 1-0 back, it's finished for them.
Yeah. Just on this topic, Paul, I want to raise another question there because, we mentioned 7 seasons, Jurgen Klopp there, and it feels like over those 7 years, they've always just been second best to Man City. Their dominant golden era, the Premier League, they've won 1 Premier League title, 1 Champions League, and 1 FA Cup. Do you think being second best to this Man City side has had an impact on the performances this season as well, the psychological edge?
Yeah, definitely it has an impact on you. You put absolutely everything you can. You put your whole life on hold, and you get yourself ready to go and go and go and go. Only just to see City get 100 points one season, or was it how many points did they end with last season?
98.
92.
Wasn't it 98?
No.
Well, anyway,
it was the season before.
Yeah.
Of course,
92.
Of course, it must be draining on them, and I think they're at a point now. Like there was a moment, I think, where Arsenal players and Tottenham players, I think, now have to have the question of, do I stay here or do I go and win trophies elsewhere? I feel like that kind of mentality could slowly be creeping into Liverpool's team. So yeah, I think there is that is a factor to play.
Yeah, I think the underperforming, and this brings us onto our next topic of conversation as well. Brighton versus Chelsea this weekend. Graham Potter back at Brighton. He's been a cult hero there. He's done unbelievable things for that club, and now he's gone back only to get battered by the team.
They done him dirty. They done him dirty.
Double agent.
I'll start this one with Arad, perhaps. Potter was getting booed by those Brighton fans. Why do you think that was, and do you think that's right?
Yes, I said it when it happened. I think Potter started the season off really well with Brighton. He's identified Brighton, and Brighton's identity is built into the way Potter wants to play football. And I think even now, I don't think a new manager coming in has changed that identity. I think he's probably gone in and told them that they were a good team when this new manager went in. Keep doing what you're doing, and just maybe trying to implement small details of his own game. But when you leave a club that has done so well for you, 8-9 games into the season, when I think at the very least he could have either gone in the summer, but then Chelsea weren't looking for a manager then, or at least respected Brighton to say that he's going to finish his contract with them and look for that big job, because I'm sure he was going to get a big job once his contract with Brighton was over. So yeah, I'd be angry if I was a Brighton fan, and it serves him right, come back and get slapped up by the team that he created. The monster that he created has just bit him in the ass, and it's a beautiful sight, honestly.
Yeah, I'll go to Daniel for this. What happened in that game? I don't know if you got the chance to watch it or watch the highlights there, but it wasn't even a close game. You can't say Chelsea were robbed. What do you think went wrong for them?
I saw the highlights, and it was just pure domination from Brighton. It was like the Brighton of, I think Aaron said, Brighton of old, Brighton of Potter, just annihilating Chelsea of Tuchel. And I think if we look at the Chelsea side, we are looking at a real issue. Chelsea, during the Abramovich era at least, weren't a club for projects, for project managers. They were a club of Mourinho's, of Conte's, of Tuchel's. You hire a manager, high profile, he signs players that fit his project, and he wins with them. He builds a team for season 2. He burns all the bridges. He destroys all the relationship, but he wins. Projects never worked at Chelsea. Lampard didn't work out. Other managers didn't work out, mainly for those reasons, because they needed time. Potter needs time. I know Bowley is a new era. I know he has probably different thoughts, but I'm not sure Chelsea fans have the same feelings towards him. They've been kind of taught to, thinking of imminent success, and that's the only model that worked in the Premier League, really, of that instant success. Now the club really has the same model, and I think Chelsea are looking at a interesting development. They either give Potter time because this team needs time. This team won't win big trophies in 2-3 years, or they sack him at the end of the season and hire another big name manager. However, to summarize things up, with the City side that's currently at top of the Premier League, you can't hire a manager that's a winner or something.
The Arsenal are top.
Yeah, but we all know what's going to happen in there, and that's a different conversation. But with the way City are playing, you need a team that has a clear identity and a strategy of how to beat City, because City are the top dogs, and to displace them, you'll need to think of something serious. I know I diverge on the point, but
yeah, no, it's fair. I think you're absolutely right. This Chelsea side is used to quick winnings, and they have no patience for any projects. At least in their last 20 years, we've seen any manager who's come in and not performed within the season get sacked. But Paul, looking at their next fixtures, right, before the World Cup break and before we break up, they've got Arsenal at home and Newcastle away. Do you see this getting better for them?
Big games are big games. You can never predict a big game. You could lose 2-3 games in a row and then beat City 1-0 at Anfield, and then continue to lose those 2 games. Big games are big games. You can never know. It's hard to predict. I think Arsenal go into. No, I know, but I'm just saying, big games are big games. You can never really predict them based on form. There's always that added spice that it's a London derby. Arsenal go into it favourites for sure, and if I was a betting man, I would put money on Arsenal to win that game. But if Chelsea turned around, go ahead.
Honestly speaking, but I don't think Potter is doing that bad, to be honest, at the moment.
No, I don't think so either. I don't think it's wrong of him to have taken that Chelsea job.
Yeah.
Because one day you could be up with Brighton, but in a flick of a switch, we've seen how careers can go sour so quickly. So if you've got an opportunity to go to a big club, of course take it. I think you have to be a bit selfish at the top. You don't get to the top without being selfish.
No, but I also, don't get what's so wrong with the Chelsea team? Okay, they are not performing as they were performing 2 seasons ago, but they're not so bad. I don't understand.
I can see some similarities between this Chelsea side and a little bit of what United struggle with sometimes. They've got a solid defense, and it's just up top. They don't seem to have that cutting edge or the ruthlessness. Yeah. Aubameyang's not firing on all cylinders. Sterling looks to be a flop.
Of course. Okay, but what do you expect? Aubameyang is what? How old is he? 32?
I think he's 33 or 32, yeah.
Yeah, so what do you expect from a striker this age? What, you employ him to win your Champions League? That's not how things work.
As the striker, that's his whole career was focused mainly on his speed.
Yeah. That's even the other thing. Yeah, you employ a 33-year-old that just
Yeah, I think we mentioned mentioning speed. Shout out at iShowSpeed. Anthony Elanga wannabe. That brings us nicely, onto our next point.
Anthony.
Yeah, Anthony Elanga, not Anthony.
Yes.
That brings us on to our next point. I think, with the Man United performance this weekend, it's a very simple question I want to ask, but probably a more complex answer, hopefully from you guys' perspective. But This week's performance against West Ham, I'll start with Daniel. Was it a fluke or was it back to basics for United?
I don't think it's a fluke. I think we need to take this United side seriously. It's the first time in a while we see a manager that actually has ideas and knows how to play. And speaking as a neutral, it's great to see. However, speaking as an Arsenal fan, as a rival, obviously there's this hope. I mean, that the board will mess it up as they usually do, which I don't think they will this time around. But this United side is looking like they know what they're doing. They still have things they need to catch up, especially in attack. A striker would be great because Ronaldo is just not it. He scores goal, but he's just, we all know he's not it. There's still things that need to be fixed. I think there are rotational players that need to be bought because the midfield, even though there's Casemiro and Eriksen, one of them gets injured, and it's McTominay in midfield, who is a good player in his own right, but he's not going to replace. It's not going to replicate what he does. And I think we still have to see this United side will battle for the top four, but I think the City game was very showing that the team is not ready to push for those top titles. And a year or two, I think United would be up there, but I think reading from Twitter, some United fans, I know there's banter and all, but probably need to calm down a little bit, because raising an expectation to the heights of maybe we'll challenge for the title this season. I know it's one or two accounts, but I think
I'm one of them.
It's the best. It's the best.
No,
United,
look,
it's the best United
right.
side I've seen since probably Fergie. At least the one that looks more in line and consistent in what they're doing.
Yeah, I think you're right. There is an element of coming back down to earth for United. But Paul, having watched your performances against Chelsea and Tottenham last week, where we absolutely finger blasted them, and now we're looking at barely scraping a win against West Ham.
If we were gonna get earnings, we just lost it, by the way.
Bye, sponsors. Thanks for coming.
Sponsored by Raycon. Paul, do you reckon our performance this weekend was United going back to their normal ways, what we're used to seeing for the last 5 years, or was this the abnormality in Tottenham and Chelsea was a real United this year, if that makes sense?
I said it a few weeks ago. I can't remember if it was after the Tottenham or Chelsea. Actually, I think I spoke on both of those at the same time. But those are the games United will excel on. The ones we have space and we can do our counter-attacks. With that pace we have up top with Anthony, Rashford, Elanga even, as much as he can't kick a ball, he can run fast. Those are the games we'll excel in. These games, the ones where you have 5-4-1, low blocks, those are the games we usually struggled with, and we continue to struggle with breaking the teams down, but we got a win. At this point in the season, a win's a win. 1-0, we kept a clean sheet at home. I don't know the last time we did that. A win's a win. 3-0 Tottenham, actually, yeah. So that's 2 clean sheets in a row now at home.
Yeah, that's actually
we've
in a row.
we've kept 5. We've kept 5 in all competitions.
Oh, let's go.
Yeah,
With
and
Maguire.
it's the first time we've kept 3 home clean sheets in the Premier League since 2020.
Yeah, that's why
there you
Chelsea's
go.
gonna come and destroy it now.
Yeah, no, you're right, and I think going back to United, it's one of those things where expectation is setting in now with the squad. We no longer have that uncertainty with, are we going to win today? Are we not? We have an identity with the squad, as Daniel said. But Emil, De Gea, man of the match against West Ham,
Goat.
not going to the World Cup. How do you see that playing out in his mental and psychological aspect going into the rest of the season?
Yeah, okay. I think that's crazy. I mean, especially if he's not going to be active as a goalkeeper, he's just going to be staying, doing nothing. But who's going? It's Kepa. They chose Kepa instead of him.
Kepa,
They
Sanchez,
chose
and Raya.
5 keepers ahead of him. Yeah, they chose
5,
5
but
goalkeepers ahead
Kepa
of
is
him.
going to be starting. Why would you start someone else if it's not the Gea?
5 goalkeepers
I'm
have got
asking
chosen
you.
ahead of De Gea. Yeah.
Yeah, that's insane. And wow.
Yeah, I'll take
Why
the
do you
same
need
question.
5
back.
goals at a World Cup?
That,
I mean, I probably have a
provisional
Look, this
squad.
is-
What's the point?
I probably have a different point of view on this one,
How
but
are you gonna? I don't understand how you're gonna find 5 goalies and not one of them being the Gea. Like, I mean, even if I'm thinking of names, I can probably name 3, and the Gea is gonna be there. Like, how do you do this? It's like he tried not to pick the Gea. That's what the guy did.
Yeah, no, you're right. I think it's a very, very interesting standpoint they've got with De Gea not going to the World Cup.
He wasn't even that bad last season. I mean, okay, you guys did pretty bad, but him as a goalkeeper, I remember a few matches last season he was so solid. So I don't know what's wrong. Okay, it's not his fault that you had Maguire at the back and he was literally passing the attackers the balls to score to De Gea. I mean, he's not a Superman, to every one-on-one to save, and he had a lot last season probably. So okay, maybe he let a lot of goals in, but it doesn't give him any justice. He's still a very good goalkeeper. So yeah, it is. It's so strange. I don't know. I'm curious to see if it's actually going to affect him. I don't think it will, to be honest. But okay, I don't know.
I think it'll be a positive for him. He'll finally be off the flood because to me, De Gea always seems like the guy who struggles with pressure. When the cameras are on him, he always seems to struggle. But now a whole month. Sorry, not 2 weeks. A whole month, cameras are off you. Enjoy your Christmas.
And also
enjoy your holiday.
Also, he's a bit old, so maybe a lot of games will not be too much in him.
Maybe not, but we'll never find out, I guess.
It is his last World Cup, probably.
Yeah, as a goalkeeper, I think he can go a bit longer.
Yeah,
but
if they didn't pick him out, they didn't pick him this year, they're gonna pick him next time. I doubt it.
Yeah, great point of view, guys. I'll just go on to the next question here, which is not related to any games this weekend. I think we've covered most of the major obstacles there. Spurs won, fair enough, whatever, moving on. But, top four race. Now it's starting to heat up. We're getting close to the Christmas break, and it just seems like teams who are there at that point who will have a shot come after the World Cup. So I'll take this question to Arad first here. We've got these four teams: Spurs, United, Chelsea, some will say Liverpool. The top two are pretty much secured, I would say, with Man City and Arsenal there. But who takes top four and why?
I think City and Arsenal do get top four, for sure. I have said this on every podcast, and I'll keep on saying it. Arsenal are in a title race. It's a matter of how far they can get into that title race. For their sake, they hope to get in and still be in a title race come March or April. But, right now they are in a title race. By all means, they are. So we can't discredit them to say they won't get a top four. I think third place will be occupied by United. I do think we will find some consistency against these low block teams that Paul says. And I do agree, those are the teams we do tend to struggle against. But I think we'll find that consistency, and keeping clean sheets is a big, big factor in us not getting top four. But if we continue to get these clean sheets as we have done, and I think Lisandro Martinez is a revelation, honestly, at the back. I think Arsenal fans will agree, because before United got him, Arsenal were very close to getting him. And so we have the receipts. We've kept those receipts on Twitter, on all the Arsenal fan compilations of Martinez best centre back. So we've kept the receipts, and we know that you guys think he's quality. But seriously, if we keep clean sheets, United have got to get third. And then I think fourth, I think Chelsea. I think Spurs will bottle it. They don't have the play style that is necessary for a top four team. I don't think so.
Very interesting. I'll take that to Daniel, because I thought shaking his head a few times there. Same question over to you.
I agree with Arad regarding the top three. I think we have no qualms about it. I think it's a reasonable opinion, but I'll go with an opinion that I think actually some of you might hold, and it's Newcastle fourth. Again, very good team. You look how they're playing. They're playing with fire in their bellies. It's insane. Nobody expected them to be up there, and they have an extra trick up their sleeves that none other team has. They have a blank checkbook in January. Who knows? They might go out, drop 100 million on a couple of players, and be up there pushing for top three, even perhaps. They have a good manager. They have momentum. They have no European football and midweek in order for them, to rotate players or rest players, players that are hungry, players that are young, and they're certainly playing better football than Chelsea and Spurs. So I think, for me, they are the team that finishes fourth. Currently,
I think someone has to clip that because you're either going to look like a genius or like a fool. One of the two.
a genius, I'm telling you.
Yeah, Emil, what do you think? Who gets top four this season and why?
Yeah, I would say okay for definitely Arsenal and City, 100%. I don't know. Yeah, I was also thinking the same thing. Newcastle and I don't know. Okay, Newcastle definitely I'm looking for fourth, but third I have no idea who to put. I think it is between Chelsea or United, I would say. But that's, as you said, given the fact that United does continue being consistent. Because, I mean, okay, the past 3 games, we've seen it before with United. You have 3-4 good games, and then the next 7 games, you just go, I don't know, you get lost somewhere. So, of course, it's tricky. So, I don't know. But I would say, yeah. So, City, Arsenal, and then third, either United or Chelsea, and then I would stick, as Daniel said, with Newcastle. Because, I think they're playing incredible. So, I think they are going to be like a dark horse.
Seems like the Arsenal boys are backing Newcastle. But I'll go on to Paul for the next question here, and that sort of leads up to the end of the Premier League break coming into the World Cup. Obviously, we're going to have 2 more games, for some 3 games, depending on schedules, and then we're going to go off to the World Cup, and then we've got a 1-month break. Now, in your opinion, do you think who stays top of the league by the World Cup has any significance or in the positions of top 4 going into the World Cup? And will that impact how the rest of the season plays out?
Well, of course, it has an impact of if you're chasing or if you're leading. I think at this point in the season, you'd prefer to be on that top spot, especially as Arsenal are, because you have that belief that we can do it. And as we've talked about previously in this podcast, we keep talking about Arsenal's paper-thin squad. Well, we saw it this weekend. Saka got injured. Nelson comes on, scores a brace. Who expected that to happen? We have to give credit to them. I think as much as we say, they have a paper-thin squad, but they have good players.
2 people on the Premier League.
It's Nottingham Forest, but still.
2 people
Jesus didn't score, and he's their main striker.
2 people in the
Nelson
FPL
scores a
actually
brace.
captained him. So
I saw that.
One guy
I don't know how
him.
you could think of that.
No, triple captain's fake. Actually, I don't think anyone triple captain.
Was
no.
Yeah,
that's
fake.
Okay. No, the biggest confusion I saw was a triple captain Wilson.
I mean,
so that's a good shout.
That's somebody can do it. That's right.
Yeah, I think you're right. With positional advantages going in with that belief. But Daniel, what do you think?
Before we move on, I just want to say this one thing. One thing. For the top 4, I think what's going to matter the most is that January transfer market. When we've got 3 teams who could potentially go top 4, United, Chelsea, and Newcastle. I think all 3 of those teams are going to be looking for the same players. Definitely United and Chelsea trying to find that striker to get those balls in the back of the net. And Newcastle are going to be hunting along with them because we said they have a blank checkbook. So I think the January transfer market is going to be more important than where you finish before the World Cup break.
Yeah, that's a fair statement. I think that the transfer window is a make or break for certain teams this season. But that striker debate, we can perhaps leave that for next week with Cristiano and all that. But Daniel, as an Arsenal fan, you've seen your team start well this season. You've not seen them start well for a number of years. You're top of the league now. Do you think if you go into the break top of this league as you are, does that impact the rest of the season for you at all?
It's such a weird season. It's like we never had this before and probably will never have this again. It's almost as if we have 2 small seasons with a break in the middle. A team can go in top and then, players go to the World Cup, get like 6 injuries or people coming off form, and it changes the whole dynamic of it all. Plus the January window, and it's been reported by numerous outlets, by numerous journalists, teams are ready. It's not your usual January window where, top teams don't want to sell, bottom teams don't want to sell for a low price, and it's like kind of a slow-moving window without much being done. This is going to be a very, very different transfer window and a very different time. some players might come off form, might come upset. I don't know, depending on, let's say Brazil get knocked out in the group stages or whatever, how that affects mentality of the players. Plus, you look at teams. I mean, Arsenal have a lot of players going to the World Cup, but I'm not sure many of them will start, apart from maybe Xhaka and Partey. Nobody will really start, and those players, apart from Saka, will go home early. City, on the other hand, have most players starting. United have most players starting for their national teams. How that affect them? So many games, so much time spent away. So again, it's very hard to predict. How will the January window transpire? How will the next half of the season transpire? So it's important to finish this part strong, but it's also very important to start the January even stronger.
Yeah,
it's a good point with yeah, go ahead, Paul.
I was just going to say, the only time I can think about a season like Daniel mentioned with a break in the middle was that COVID season. And what sprung into my mind was Sheffield United. I think they were like somewhere, was it Sheffield United? They were somewhere around European spots.
Yeah, and
before the lockdown. And then after the lockdown, they just plummeted through the table. So it'll be interesting to see, will there be a team that does that as well? And United, who did the opposite, struggling 7th, 8th, got the momentum, got top 4.
I think with the January window as well, we have to remember teams aren't in the World Cup. Like, the clubs are going to have a month before the World Cup to do the planning, and the managers are going to have a chance to speak to players directly, to agents. We don't normally get this. Normally in January, it's very rushed, like Daniel says. So it's not just the fact that players are going to the World Cup. And also, let's not discount injuries here. For me, that's the biggest problem with having a World Cup in the middle of the season, is a player, Arsenal, for example, Saka could go and get a 6-month injury. And then, how is that fair on a season like Arsenal have been having, to then have to replace him? And can you even replace a player like Saka in the transfer market? So injuries, but also the fact that clubs are going to have so much time. I want to say doing nothing, but they're not doing nothing. They're planning as if it were a summer window. I think we're going to get quite close to a summer transfer window in terms of the number of deals done, and also big players probably on the move. It won't be quiet. And Paul's right. The top 3 clubs that are fighting for top 4, they'll probably win it in the transfer window. In F1 terms, it's a pit stop, of the race. It can win or lose you the race, and you need to make sure you're there and spending the money. Which, that's why I worry about United, to be honest, in top 4.
Unless you're Max Verstappen, who can do 11-second pit stop and still win the race.
Yeah, but we don't speak about goats. We don't speak about goats on this channel.
Okay, let's not start any controversy with cheats. So moving on. I think something interesting you mentioned is Saka is irreplaceable. I know I'm moderating, but I completely disagree. I think Saka is an average player. But
that's why you're moderating, bro.
Here we go.
Again, this
I want to.
We'll get 20 likes. Mayor's doing the next.
Put this on TikTok.
Clown costume.
Guys, I want to finish on a bit of a fun note here. So I'm going to give you guys a question. Each one of you gets to answer, but I want reasons, and I want it to make sense, especially you, Emil, right? But start 1, bench 1, and sell 1. 3 players. We're going to start with you, Emil, here, right? Lisandro Martinez, Ruben Diaz, and Saliba.
Wait,
Go.
Start 1, bench 1,
sell 1.
Sell 1.
Yeah, Martinez,
those are 2
Saliba.
centre-backs and 1 left winger.
No,
Saliba,
Ruben Diaz.
Mate.
Yeah, Ruben Diaz.
He's a centre back.
Centre back,
City
centre back.
I mixed him up with the Liverpool
Diaz. That
Diaz.
out, by the way?
Yeah.
No, we do raw footage. The offsidepodcast.com. Listen everywhere we are. Let's go, Emil.
I would keep. It's so hard not to be unbiased. Like, wow, when you put
it's
Saliba
so hard not
there.
to sound like an idiot, right?
What do you mean like an idiot? Okay, first of all, Lisandro Martinez. Okay. What I'm gonna do is, I don't know. I would sell Lisandro Martinez I would bench Saliba and I'm gonna play Ruben Dias. Why? Okay, first of all, if you're giving me choices straight away, Lisandro Martinez, he's played what? How many games this season? 10
Almost
games.
every
As
game.
many as Saliba.
Played every game.
Yeah, okay.
As many as Saliba.
Right? Yeah, but okay, who has more clean sheets? I think Saliba. No?
Martinez.
Does he? I
Yeah.
don't think so.
Nah, I don't think
No.
so.
I think Martinez, because when Martinez hasn't played, we've lost games.
Yeah, but if he's played every game.
Okay, Emil, you get to explain. Let's assume Saliba has more clean sheets. Keep going.
Yeah, okay. Saliba has more clean sheets. I don't know, and I feel like okay, he's whatever because he's a national player. That's how bench.
There we go.
He has more.
So,
To be fair, he has more goals.
Why I would sell? It's because why would you even sell Ruben Dias, man? Like he's gold.
Yeah.
He's incredible, man. I mean, who wouldn't play him? It's like it's like you're having Ferrari and keeping it in the garage. Why would you keep a Ferrari in the garage? You want to drive it.
Depends if you got a Red Bull and you're playing that instead.
My God.
But I'll take that same question to Daniel. We'll start with the Arsenal boys.
I think I'd go with a similar decision as Emil. I mean, it's probably biasy speaking. I have to say that, but I was, again, the Diaz one I think is pretty self-explanatory. There's no need to explain that. The Martinez one and Saliba one, my explanation is I've watched Saliba play. I've seen him transform our defense. He doesn't make mistakes because he's 21, but at his age, I don't think there's a center back better than him at the age category that he is. I think he starts for France in the summer. Sorry, during the World Cup, because Varane's injured as well, I think. Plus,
Varane's back for the World Cup.
Apart from Varane, name me a center back that is better than Saliba in the French setup. And I'll tell you why you're wrong if you tell me. And look, I know I'm not denying the fact that Martinez is a good player. He's a great player. I just don't think he's on Saliba's level. Perhaps if I watch him and this entire season and he becomes, that replaceable part of the United defense, sure. But so far, I'm not seeing it. I see him as a great player, but not as somebody who's like up there and keystone to the United's defense and all that.
Yeah, I think Arad's about to explode, so I'll let him go.
The thing is, I want to respect everyone's opinion, so I'm not going to say anything against it. My answer is quite interesting. So I'm going to sell Saliba, but I'm going to explain why. I think he's the highest value player there. So if I have a club right now and I've got all three there, he's the youngest and you could say potentially the most potential because he's so young and so good. So I'd sell him because I could get a lot of money for him. And if I've got another two centre-backs like Diaz and Martinez, I probably don't need him to stay there. So I'm just going to put that out there. I'm selling Saliba. I am going to start Martinez and I'm going to bench Diaz. And I'm going to explain that now. Diaz has been playing for City. Hang on a second, guys. Diaz plays for City, a team that don't get attacked often, a team that pretty much play in the opposition half for 70-75% of the game, hold possession of the ball. I think Diaz is a very big liability when it comes to counterattack. He's not very fast. I think any team that has pace up top can hurt City, and we've seen it before. So I think he's a good centre-back, but he needs to have great players around him, and then he's an amazing centre-back. You put him into a team like Arsenal or United, I don't think you see the same player. So that's just my opinion on that. He's a great centre-back, but again, he's playing in a team that rarely get attacked and harassed with pressure. So I think I start Martinez, and to go on what Daniel said, if there was any single player right now that I would prevent injury for United for the whole season, it would be Martinez every day of the week. I would rather lose Casemiro, Ronaldo, Rashford, Martial, De Gea, any player I would rather lose on an injury to the whole season, but keep Martinez fit. I think he's integral to the way we play football. I think Carragher owes him a big apology for saying that he wouldn't make it. I mean, Carragher has won 0 Premier Leagues, and yet we're supposed to listen to his advice. So, stick one up yours and, keep your shit opinions to yourself. We don't need that.
Yeah.
Say the same thing about us.
I think I think I left Paul for last because I think he's the most level-headed person here. But go ahead, Paul. Tell us why they're wrong.
I don't think anything you guys have said is wrong, but I would keep Diaz, bench Saliba, and sell Martinez. And the reason behind that is when I played football, I was a goalkeeper. And what I always wanted from my centre-backs was calm. I wanted them to be calm and composed. And I believe that you get from Diaz and Saliba. Whenever Saliba has the ball, even if there's a striker closing him down, I feel like he's composed and he's calm. But Martinez, he's got the nickname for the butcher. And I'm sorry, sooner or later, he's going to get his finger chopped off. What I mean by that is he's going to get sent off. It's going to be an important game, and I feel like he's going to go into a challenge, and he's going to cost us. As much as I love him, and I agree with what Arad said, he's the most important player in our team, and I don't want to see him get injured. I agree with that, but I just think if you're trying to build a team that's going to win the league, you want a centre back that's calm and composed. Kompany, Terry, Vidic, Ferdinand, all these centre backs you trusted and were composed. Varane is another one. Yes, he's composed whenever there's pressure on him. You want that. I don't feel that same composure with Martinez. I feel he's hot-headed, rash Mexican who's maybe a bit on the white powder.
Wow.
Well, certainly demonetized now. If we add any,
Listen, guys, when we talk about centre backs, centre backs are a pairing, and I think this is where the question is a little bit unfair because we talk about a pairing in centre backs. Normally, you talk about two as a package because when we talk about, for example, Varane and Martinez, I agree with what you're saying. Martinez has got that dog in him, he's rash. You never know what his next move is. He's aggressive. Varane's more calm, composed, but that's why they fit together so well. Look at Rio and Vidic. Vidic got that dog in him. Vidic went into the tackle as if there's no tomorrow. Ferdinand never had a stain on his shorts walking off the pitch. So we need both. And even with Gabriel and Saliba, they suit each other very well. Gabriel is probably the more clumsy one, you would say. He'll go into a tackle, give a penalty away, as we've seen him do this season. Saliba's there.
And VAR overturn it.
Yeah, but this is not a conversation. It's the first podcast we ever talk about VAR.
Yeah, I think I intentionally didn't want to have any VAR talk this week. I think we've had it, for the last two weeks, and it's nice to speak football terms for a week and ignore the shit refereeing, which we're so accustomed to. But listen, everyone, it's been a pleasure. Thanks for listening. And hope to see you again next week, wherever you are listening from. America, Cyprus, UK, Bangladesh, as Daniel mentions. But
and don't get caught offside.
Don't get caught offside. It's been fun. And we'll be in touch. Take care.
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
See you.
We're starting a TikTok.
Bye-bye.